There we are, I suppose. Okay, right, to be able to see stream chat there. Can I edit this somehow? Not apparently. Stats. Oh, there we go. Hello, Leif. Welcome. How are you? Thank you for the very nice chat yesterday. This should have been a painting stream. I didn't feel like I have enough time. So it's going to be drawing. Because today I'm sketching for a painting I want to make for my nephew for his Christmas present. That's my idea for a present for him this year. I think he's just about old to appreciate art. He's going on 4. I mean, this is like just over 3.5. So, and I have an idea. I know what my idea is. He is into dinosaurs and trains, so guess what? This is one of my. It's rather big sketch block. I have lots of old sketches in this actually. Wish you could see more of these stats. Oh well. Ghoul Drawings. Hello, welcome. I'm sorry, I don't remember if you've been here before. But you're welcome nonetheless. Let's see. I usually do this. I divide when I have a large paper I'm going to sketch. I start with thumbnail sketches, and I usually just divide my paper into 4 quadrants like this, and do tinier ones, like size of my hand there, so it's still kind of big. So initial thoughts were train. I don't know. Let's just play around a bit here. Is this the first time I've really done any real? It's the first time in a long while I've done rough sketching on stream. So train on rails, horizon. I thought I'd have like dinosaurs running alongside or something. I don't know. That one's really huge, but that would probably look cool, I believe. So I could sort of color the dinosaur in, I guess. So you get what I mean. It's difficult to see what I mean there. Head, tail, hind legs. So something. What they call the tetrapods? Those tyrannosaur sorts of dinosaurs. I believe they're called tetrapods. And I think I'll go and do a bit of streaming on Twitch later as well in just a while, because boy, Ghost of a Tale was super fun yesterday. Especially it got rolling more and more as I went along, and I guess I streamed alone for much of the time. You see, there was one onlooker statistically, but I've learned that quite often, and for no reason I understand, some Twitch streamers create bots, or not bots. They create, they have software that that sort of logs them into, into certain streams. So they are present in streams, but they're not actively watching. They can do that. I don't know if they can do it while they're streaming, but while they're doing other stuff, their computer just sort of randomly finds active streams and joins them and hangs out in the channel without doing anything. I discovered that once while I logged in, I checked my while checking my various settings and stats. I found out there were people present in chat, but I'm not streaming. Why would people be present? Are they watching a video? But can they be present in chat then? I didn't understand, so I looked into this, and that's something people do. So all of the people watching are not actively watching. They're just accounts that are sort of passively logged in. Yeah. Yes, I think it's one of the best things I can do. Thank you, Leif. I think it's one of the best things I can do, especially, of course, he has plenty of toys. Not that I haven't bought stuff for him. I have very little, like 2 or 3 things in his lifetime. But everyone buys toys for children, so of course children have lots of toys. I don't think he really needs more unless I can find something really special. When I was in Japan, I bought a Japanese train model for him, appropriate for his age. That felt sort of reasonable to do. But this won't take up much space, and hopefully it can be. I think he will, enjoy it, looking at it, and maybe spark his imagination. So that's one kind of thing I was thinking of having. My thought was this. You see, I tried to go for a modern dinosaur look, i.e., with feathers on it, and I would make it quite colorful. And then I'd have the background snowy, maybe with some snow-covered mountains and maybe woods and that sort of stuff. And a train barreling along here of some sort. I haven't decided what kind of train. And I don't know if the train should be colorful as well. I mean, they could be 2 different colors, right? The train could be one color and the dinosaur could be another one, or 2 others. Like a rather colorful bird, the way I've seen recent reproductions of dinosaurs, with like feathers on their tails and such, and some on their arms. Oh, well, this is just a pencil holder, really, or actually a drawing stick. What do we call this? Drawing a lead. This one's Koh-i-Noor. The brand is Koh-i-Noor. This is so old. This might be from the 90s. Even. I think it says versatile here, and seemingly model 5347. Focus, come on. You can do it. Dear camera, there we go. It's very nice to hold, and when I sketch, when I don't sketch details, I enjoy this. The heft and the thickness makes it so I don't have to take my lines too seriously. Good lord, this music. It's nice, but a bit. Tell me if the music's too loud, will you? Won't you please? So, This always happens when I'm figuring out what to sketch next. I always sit doodling and do this. This is on so many of my sketch pages. Oh dear. I made progress on the game, by the way. I will probably show it. Not terribly much, a bit. Was actually the things I wanted to solve today were. I think they presented fewer problems than I had anticipated, which is always very nice. I have it up. Oh, right now it's not running, so you can't really see. It looks like before. Well, except for one thing. This is, of course, it has exited. The game has exited. It's just, you know, just like I showed yesterday. The last graphics remain on screen in this super simple mode. Maybe you can see my player character is over to the right here. When I showed you the game yesterday, it was not possible to move any other direction than straight down from the original position, which was basically here. You can now move around the entire area. Whee! I will demonstrate later on. We can have a side view. I mean, this would, if we had the train something like that, that's coming in from the side and the dinosaur running. Dinosaurs, but I guess one would be most interesting. Again, haven't decided on size. I thank you. This would put them next to each other, so their colors would, you know, come very close, and that might look very nice and interesting. I'm just wondering what angle would be most interesting. Should it be slightly from below, slightly from above? This one's slightly from above, right? You could imagine this one as well. Let's just color the dinosaur in again there. It's a bit of a pity to not see the legs, because I like this, especially on those tetrapods. The legs are so dynamic, you know, like birds' legs. So I'd like to have a bit of that in the painting. Maybe it should run ahead of the train, you know. Now I can twitch, good. So we had the train a bit further back and body there. Those arms are a bit far ahead. I think it should be. It's not so bad. Now the hind leg is hidden. And of course, this is grossly out of proportion. This train should be much larger. So maybe we should have the dinosaur run in front of the train, right? And we will make the train larger. We try that over here. Still super. Rough shape of the train, but we'll decide on train shape later. It's easy to find train model pictures online, you know. Hip. Come on. Like so. This is the way they always run in the pictures, and they have bigger skulls than that, most of them, don't they? Then there could be some people inside here looking out. Ooh, this is where the big pencil sort of doesn't work very well. It's difficult to do detail with it. Look out sort of googly-eyed here. There's more people back here, of course. so that's one set of sketches. How are you guys doing today, by the way? You seem to be doing well. Also, poll. If I do go back to Twitch and play later on, would you rather see Banner Saga or Ghost of a Tale? I don't want to neglect Banner Saga. It's just, I mean, I have to say, Ghost of a Tale is probably the most appealing game I've played in a long while, and it's new to me, but I do intend to continue Banner Saga as long as there's appreciation for it. Right, starter tips on drawing. You know, you can always get that here if you want to. I think you know I've done a few, like what they call them, art drawing clinics. You know, little instructions or lessons or lectures, you might call them. If there's something some specific thing, or if you just want pointers on where to start, I'll be happy to do that at some point. But do go get some sleep. No worries. Thank you for dropping by. Look at that, I can fit almost all of my info on screen at the same time. Sleep well. Show a bit more of my painting there, I guess. So, future thoughts here. What else shall we try? I mean, if I come up with something quickly, I guess I might as well start penciling it in on watercolor paper. Heck, I might even start painting this. If everything goes to plan. Now, for example, we could have some. We could take a different approach. Let me explain. Oh, that has nothing to do with it, Leif. Don't worry. I actually don't think any one of the people whom I've done lectures for, the people who have asked for lecture, none of them, and for whom I have done lectures. Lecture sounds pretentious, but I like it. None of those people are my patrons. Also, you should remember, I think both creators on Patreon and supporters should remember that Patreon is for, if you want to support someone in what they do, it is not payment for a service. Because it's not set to a specific price. I mean, in some ways, I look at it that way too. I usually become a patron of people whose work I enjoy a lot, you know, I partake of a lot if I can. But it is an extra, you know, it's a bonus, so you should never feel pressure to do that, and you shouldn't. When I offer to do something, I do that because I find it interesting and I want to do that, and I think that it's probably something people enjoy watching on stream. I get that impression, you know. So don't worry, just ask away. When you have the time, at some point, just say the word, and I'll. If it fits, if it fits with the theme of the stream, such as, for example, now, I'd happily do it. Gives me practice too, you know. Anyway, so another way of looking at this is, or other approach to this design could be, like a little flock of dinosaurs running, maybe jumping across the tracks. It could be very dynamic. We could have the thank you, Leif. I appreciate the thought. Really, I do a lot. Whenever you feel comfortable, you're so welcome. But never feel pressured to do that. I only want people to do that when they feel that they have the funds and the wish to do so. I enjoy having you on my streams a lot. And I think you contribute as well. Yeah, so I think my streams are richer for your presence. So if we have a train coming basically towards us, and we have like a little flock of smaller dinosaurs, maybe running, and sort of jumping over to the other side. We could have some really close here. Tip while sketching, by the way, it's a very common tip. Hold your drawing implement not close to the tip, but further from the tip, so that you don't have too much control. This will prevent you from getting stuck in detail work. And also, it will loosen up, it will give you a loose grip and allow you to do, you shouldn't worry about details when you're sketching. You should be loose and allow your drawing implement to flow around, and then work on shapes gradually, because it's just a sketch. And it's a great way for developing your drawing skills. Work. Does this look good? No. Well, if I draw this line here over here instead, does that look better, etc. Yes, kind of a flock of raptors, one of those, or something else. That's one of those, again, very bird-like ones. His tail sticking out there, little nostrils. Again, detail work here it's not good for detail work. Mouth, throat, flank. There's one. We could sort of draw their. That's the way they would run. Come down that side, jump across here. Would have several, and so there will be more of them here, and then some in the middle of the jump. Maybe one just taking off there. Just drawing in shapes now to understand the general composition. Maybe one just landing, and then this fellow showing that they continue towards the viewer. Bang! I kind of like this idea, I have to say. Now, question. Do we want to do it from the front like this? So in this stage, I just do thumbnails. I do when I plan a painting, I often do thumbnails like this, just like this. Different size papers, but still. I'm just working with composition at the moment. Sometimes that requires a bit of detail work, and sometimes not. This is basic composition, and the nice thing, I don't think this will be very complicated, so I don't think it will require much. But if it's difficult, I might, look at, I like this painting, certain elements in this sketch, and I like certain elements in this sketch, and sometimes I'll just create a pile of sketches, and then I'll select the ones I like, and I have those right in front of me while I make further sketches, and I sort of refine the concept. Once I like the concept enough, then I usually make like one final sketch, or one final sketch where I really try to. I'm much more considered about getting every proportion right. Some detail, but mostly proportions. so that I can use it as a reference when transferring to the final paper or to the canvas. I might also do more like detailed measurements, and I will. Sometimes you have to do a large sketch. If it's very large, like this, for example, that requires quite a large sketch. In fact, I did the last sketching I did on this canvas, just with charcoal, for this, because when it's really large, it's almost impossible to get everything right on such a small thumbnail, because things look different, they feel different on a larger surface. But in this case, for example, I'm going to do this probably on, well, I'm going to do it in watercolor. 90% sure I'm going to do it in watercolor. And if I am, then I would eventually do a sketch on watercolor paper, which is basically just thicker paper, but they have different kinds of grain, basically different kinds of texture. Welcome, Gabsy. How are you today? And then when I do that, I try to use usually an HB pencil. It's quite hard, maybe even harder than that, but usually it's HB, and not press very hardly at all. And eventually, yes, I will. Even though it's thin, I usually, once I'm done, I will erase, and I will use. I wonder if I have one of those here. Do I? Don't I? I mean, I have loads of. I've been organizing. I'm more organized now, but right now I don't remember where I put my my erasers. Never mind. Some of those kneadable erasers that you can shape, soft ones. And I usually roll it into a ball, and then I roll that back and forth over the drawing, so as not to. I don't want to. If you use a hard eraser, it's easy to. One, you can damage the paper if you're not careful, and you can actually, if you're not careful, you can push the pencil lines further into the paper, at least parts of them. So I sort of more like try to lift them off the paper with minimal friction. And then I just have a thin layered pencil drawing there as a reference, and I can paint over that. No problem. That's my usual method for watercolors. So Gabsy, yes, I am drawing. I was thinking of painting today. I feel I don't have enough time. I want to go back to coding later. Oh, by the way, before you go, Leif, I'll just show off the game in its current state. This is going to be a painting, a Christmas gift for my nephew. He is into dinosaurs and trains, so that's what I'm painting. A combination, I thought. I'll just quit. So, current game status is, well, as you can see, I don't remember if you saw this, Gabsy, it moves by itself. That moving thing is the Baron, the master of the castle. I am the eye. I am the eye. That's so fitting. It's more fitting when I speak of it. I can move around now in every direction using the arrow keys, which was a huge problem before, actually. I don't know why, but they caused. If I press the arrow keys, then all the other keys that I could press would produce a different value than they usually do. So my escape key, which is my exit key, it wouldn't work. But that was an easy fix. That glitch you just saw is a bug that exists in the game at the moment. It gets more intense. The higher frame rate I try to have, the more intense that bug becomes. So, for example, when I hold the arrow keys down and try to move quickly, of course, obviously it redraws more often. Then you can see that bug occur more often. It's really annoying. I don't know that there's any way I can solve it, honestly. Maybe I just have to get the frame rate down. That's probably the best solution. So that's what I've been working on. And there's a game over state now. If I get hit by the Baron, I'm caught, and it says game over. That's what can happen. The other thing, what I've been working most on is creating files, saving data in files on the hard disk, and opening them again. So this game over message, that is actually read from a file. It's not a well, it's created. It's actually created in the program, but it's not read directly from a string. It's read from. It's saved to a file, and then it's read from the file, which I'm very happy about. I'm going to translate that newfound knowledge. I'm going to write a level editor for this. So the next part of this project is to write a level editor, so a different program. That's going to be very interesting, actually. I look forward to it, and I'm probably going to start that later tonight, much later tonight. Well, all the special letters. This just has those ones. This is typical Scandinavian keyboard. I guess it only has 3. I mean, I'd say there are much more interesting ones with more. There are several interesting languages in Europe with a greater number of specialty keys. Anyway, that's that. Let me get back to the drawing. If you have questions about that, just ask. Let me read what Gabsy has been saying here. It looks interesting. Gab says, I'm doing my internal assessment, which is to make a program for a client inside of the Java programming language. Oh? I'm not sure what you mean by internal assessment. Is that part of school? Or is it something you're doing for yourself? I could interpret internal assessment as being, a test that you're doing, setting up for yourself. Although I guess you wouldn't call it that, but you might. I guess I might call it that. I'm guessing it's for school. But you said client, so that's interesting. Is it a fictional client then, or is it an actual client that you found? You think so? It's actually a new keyboard. I bought it very recently because I had a tiny wireless keyboard for my Pi before, and it had tiny round buttons, so there was lots of space between them, and sometimes I just hit the space between. And also because it was tiny, I often pressed the wrong keys, and of course switching between keyboards, you had to sort of switch muscle memories, but that's not as easy as switching between memory addresses in a computer. So, and this one is actually nice. It's not the best keyboard I ever had. This is probably my best ever. This is a gaming keyboard. I looked at buying a similar one, but I don't know. They were a bit more expensive. I don't know. It just felt right having an office type keyboard for office work. that was my line of thinking, and it was a bit cheaper. Keyboard that can write every specialty key there. Yeah, I guess. Wouldn't it be huge though? I mean, I guess you basically can. I mean, I can write Japanese if you just install the right software, which is present in Windows at least. Let's see here. See, it's a school project I have to do, or I fail the entire course under pressure. It's an actual client. So does the school connect you with the client? Set you up with the client? Will you get paid if you succeed? Oh, is that over already? Are we already looping? That video just started over again. I didn't think it was that short. Yeah, I understood you were referencing his keyboard with your 2 feet comment. That's interesting. What kind of project is it? I'm guessing you'll. I feel like you'll do very well. I mean, you do programming all the time, and you have to find a client. That's a bit odd, I feel. Is it a mixed computer science and business course? You have to find a client, so you don't know exactly what kind of product you. This is interesting. Oh, best ideal pencil sizes. No, no, regular. Yeah, rather this, because you can do just about anything with regular size pencil. I think I spent most of my time of all the drawing that I've ever done. I'd say 80% at least has been done with this kind of pencil. And if you want, and you can sharpen it to different shapes, and or, you can modify it to different shapes, different thinness, different. If you want to draw soft lines, you can just sort of blunt it, and you can make it really sharp. Although the sharpness, of course, wears off really quickly. But go for that. I'd go for quite this is a 2B, but an HB. Do you know about pencil hardness standards, Leif? I believe I have a set here. Yep, yes I do. Apparemment. So H means hard, B means soft. So it basically the medium is HB. It says HB, all pencils. This one is 2B, meaning this is softer. So if you go softer from HB, it becomes B1, or 1B, and then 2B and 3B, and so on. And if you go harder, then it becomes 1H. This one is 2H, for example. And the softer, the softer it is, the more of the graphite will rub off on the paper with with less pressure. No, actually HB is probably common for your regular pencils, the one you'd find in an office or in school. Yeah, exactly, as Gapsy says. HB, 1B, 2B, those are really common because they're really the same. If you go harder, as I said, it can be good if you don't want to. If you want to leave a very shallow mark. The thing is, if you're not used to that, especially I guess if you're inexperienced, you might sharpen. If you sharpen a hard pencil like a 3B or 3H or something like that, or 4H, I think you might actually very easily damage the paper because it's so hard. It's easy to make, rip the paper to some extent. I wouldn't go with too hard at all. I mean, I've gotten by with HB my entire life as the hardest one. I've tried harder, but it's up to you. But I guess for just practice, use HB. It won't. Very soft pencils can become very messy, because it's not only does it leave a very. This is a 6B. It's basically same pressure here. HB and 6B. You see, with same pressure. I can even do this, I guess. You see the enormous difference? I should do it even lighter. It really rubs off easily, but it's easy to smudge the softer ones. The harder lines are difficult to smudge, but the softer ones smudge a lot. If I do this here, It's not so easy to see there. Sorry, but I promise you that's the way. If you do that, you'll probably smear your hand a lot and you'll smear your drawings quite a lot. So go with an HB for practice. If you feel you need other hardnesses once you start getting proficient, go for it. Experiment. I did a lot. Buying pencils was one of my greatest pleasures in youth. Some people hung out at the sports store. I hung out at the pencil store, basically, or art supply shop. No problem. Good luck with that, and I look forward to hearing about any progress you make. And maybe seeing it too. So right, this piece of art here. I was making. I was going to have my HB out anyways. You and me both, Gabs. You and me both. I'm trying to refrain from buying too many pens and pencils. It's hard, but I'm better at it now than I used to be. Sort of resisting. I think I should use the ones I have. Same with paper, really. This is actually an old sketchpad. I have some really old sketches here. The old one recognizes my name. What do you mean the old one recognizes your name? You mean online, Artshop? And why is that a bad thing? The owner of the art shop I used to go into in my hometown, he basically looked like Santa Claus with a nicotine addiction. He was bald up top with long flowing white hair and long flowing white beard. But except around his mouth, because he smoked so much, he was yellow, very yellow. Didn't look very good. Very nice man. Delightful. He was also a bit paunchy. Not much, just a bit. He really looked like not nearly as big as Santa Claus is often depicted, but he would definitely fit the costume. He would wear the costume well, I think, in every way. I need to lubricate my mouth. So I've been playing a lot of Ghost of a Tale. I mean, not a lot, but when I've been streaming, the two latest streams were playing Ghost of a Tale on Twitch, and it's such a wonderful game, and I've gotten to a really interesting part of it now. So I hope you'll have time to witness a bit of that later. But let's see. Do we want? I'm thinking about how this would look from above, although I'm not sure my nephew is quite old enough to understand seeing a train from above. I think he would, but I'm not sure he would appreciate it. I would probably understand what it is, but I feel he would get more joy out of a picture of a train from mostly from the side, because that way you'd see the most of the distinctive features. Same with the dinosaurs, really. Although it might look kind of good, with the dinosaurs running from above and then running across here. The trains, maybe some running here as well. Could look really cool in a sort of nearly abstract way. Yes, I think we should go with something that shows them from the side quite a lot. Let's see. In-person art shop, nice. It means I go too often, yeah. It's nice to hear. I'm not sure they ever knew my name, because I don't think I ever presented myself with my name. But they sure know who I am. Oh, they knew. I haven't been there in a long while. I think some of the guys in the art shop I use in Copenhagen probably recognize me. I know some did, but you know, they change the staff quite often. And I don't go there often enough. I go like a few times a year to stock up, basically, on stuff. Brushes I need to buy all the time. That's nice. Well, I charge you with getting a photograph of that, of the road sign. So next sketch. Should we add something more? Should the train be going like up a slope or something, over a bridge? That could be interesting. You know, add some more elements. There weren't really many alternatives in my hometown. Were there any, really? Well, there was only the one art shop that had serious stuff, as far as I recall. You know, there was one serious art supply shop. Were there any other that really had serious amounts of paint? Of course, there were bookshops and places that had some stuff, some watercolors, and of course all the office supplies, all the pens and pads you could want, but there's more special kinds of paper, the more exclusive ones with oil paints, acrylics, the finer watercolors. That sort of stuff was rare. My town isn't big, although it's my hometown. It has a big university, really big one. So of course there are lots of art students and architects and other designers and such. No, I think it was only one. In Copenhagen there are several, although I usually go to the one that I've gone to. Even as a quite young, not as a child, but as a youth. My father took me to that place. So I've been going to the same art shop for 25 years. The one in Copenhagen. Let's see. It's not a well-known acrylic company, so I hope it doesn't go bust. Okay, what's it called? Not that I plan on painting in acrylics, but I'm curious. I probably only know big names, though. So if we were to add... I mean, if we had to add a bridge, we had to zoom out a bit, I guess. Could we add something different? Some structure? I mean, I was planning on having some slopes, hills or mountains, and with trees in it should be a snowy winter landscape so that the colors stand out. At least that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking now if the train went through a town, maybe in a deserted town, the little dinos could be jumping across buildings, like jumping over you know, between building roofs, basically, that if they were on height of the train or similar. Let me draw it to illustrate what I mean. So again, let's say we have the train going through something like so, a bit pulled back there, and then we have some buildings. Horizon over there, building, and then there's a roof. This is a raised railway track. So I have a street down here. Let's put some shadow. Just make it Brunel Franklin. Or Brunel Franklin. Just realized most of my supplies are from... Oh, indeed. I've never heard of it, as far as I know. If I've seen the name in an art supply shop, I haven't bought anything of them. So we'd have buildings, almost the same. There might be a slightly different height, right? To make the image more interesting. And then we'd have little critters running. It's difficult to make them stand out here. Just draw them as little, like this is the design. Body with tail and then the two legs, just as a marker, basically a symbol. They'd be here, they jump over across down to that building, sort of bling, and maybe some would come skittering across. Maybe some would jump here and over here, just for the hell of it. Don't know if there would be a street, and maybe they would have a roof here as well, and they could jump over to here. That could be interesting. This is seemingly a picture with some action in it. Very much action, actually. So some stuff going on. Then this, but I do still like the idea of some, snow and mountains. We could have the buildings be quite play down their colors. They could be modest colors, mostly grays and beige and tans. That sort of stuff. Only available in Great Britain. Yeah, possibly. I actually like this idea quite a bit. It's very me. Actually, we might have two. We could have a big one as well. We could have a Tyrannosaur in the background, so maybe chasing these little guys across the roofs. Just for kicks, so we have a bit of dynamic there in size difference. Let's sketch on a larger scale, just to feel what it looks like. This is probably the kind of size I'm going to paint it in. Yeah, it's really my style. It's almost too typical of me to have this sort of diagonal in my paintings. I'm thinking of trying to come up with other ideas. It's just that it works so. I like the way it creates depth and adds a dynamic. I mean, I like having several, 2 or 3 such points, really, if I can, like vanishing points, if you like. Just creates such nice tension in the picture. That's why I so often make these pictures with these paintings with lots of vanishing points in them. I can't resist. But hey, that's not the problem right now. Let's just focus on. So some building in the background there. We have a train just about there. Sort of size. Maybe there's a platform there. There could be some people standing on the platform. It would make it interesting. People, of course, people live in this. I don't know what kind of world where dinosaurs roam the streets freely. And people, and you manage to get into the communities. So to the extent that they climb up onto the roofs with people, and people still stand on train platforms. But that's not important. It's surely going to spark the little guy's interest, or sorry, his imagination. That's most important. Let's define the train shape there. And then we had the slightly taller building, slightly lower building, tracks. Should we have the Tyrannosaur? Should be up here or a bit further back. Tyrannosaur would be like this big, 1 foot there, 1 foot back there. Head, tail sticking out like so. Then we have these little critters. Kind of small, they're still quite large actually. And jump. It's becoming an ambitious picture. I'm going to actually have to put some time in painting this. Major dinosaur here, tinier here. I think I'm going to start drawing at least outlines for the watercolor picture today, because I think I need to if I want to get this done by Christmas. It's not meant to be more than like a 2 to 3 day project, but I think I need to focus. I want to do some of the stuff on this stream, but at least, all right. I should get especially like measurements for the train tracks and all that. That's not very fun to do, but it's necessary. Some of the background stuff too. Now I should practice something which is quite difficult, is to keep the level of detail down. Because I could go crazy with this, as I think anyone who has followed me for a while. I could start getting this level of detail and just put in people sitting in the windows back here, and advertisement signs and come up with logo types for fictional companies, and some kind of 7-Eleven or convenience store down here, and a person buying juice. Let's try not to do that. It's generic people, generic dinosaurs, generic train, but with good colors and good balance and composition, colors. That's what we're focusing on. It's a small community, so one or two larger office buildings back here. Maybe like a water tower back there, but then we forests, some hills, maybe even some distant small mountains. This could be I'm imagining this is in rural United States for some reason, mostly because we don't have really raised platforms. Trains on raised tracks are not common in rural Sweden. or Denmark or anything like that. If it were mountains in the background, means it's not Denmark. So then it's Norway or Sweden, I guess, if it's anywhere in Scandinavia. And no raised tracks. I've seen movies, American movies, or movies taking place in the United States, in which they have raised train tracks in small communities in a rural area. That's probably why I interpret this as being the United States. Otherwise, but let's say it's a fictive version of Scandinavia. For no specific reason at all. A very fictive version with lots of dinosaurs roaming free. And then of course last dinosaurs here running, well, this direction, I guess. Just make a large arrow there indicating direction of travel. Let's get to sketching this onto watercolor paper. Now I have some standing here next to my desk. Is it good enough? Let's have a look. Bockingfoot. Nice name, nice logo type, nice design. 300 grams per square meter, which is, I'd say, good enough. I think so. What's the texture like? Not quite as flat as I might have liked, but, and it's flip-floppity here. It's not attached, but I think it's good enough. Again, I'm not going to work a whole lot on this, so it should be. I think this is well enough. Should I prop this up as a reference somewhere? I could probably prop it up against my other screen over here. Let's see. I'll just show you now. This is not what this isn't meant to be used as a sketch proper. But I mean, well, it works, doesn't it? Good. Meow. Sorry. So we have our HB pencil. Yes, so maybe I need my mechanical pencil too, because it's nice and thin. It has the same. Its thickness doesn't really vary much, which is a boon. Where on earth did I put it? I'll just have to look around a little bit for that, I think. Give me a second. I might actually visit the bathroom as well. Just briefly. Hello. This is like an unboxing video, you write. In what sense? Not entirely sure what you mean by that. Right, ruler. Also a good idea when you're going to draw architecture, for the most part at least, unless it's a very unorthodox architecture. It's a good idea. And really, to establish a horizon, it's always a good idea as well to do that with a ruler, and I often do. So let's just put down a... Where should we have it? Oh, so we can... I'll reference this here. We see the horizon is just about there, which is... That's 60% up from the bottom. I don't think it's more, so let's do that. Just about. This is just over 30 centimeters, like 31 centimeters. So 18, 19 centimeters up, maybe. Let's look at that and see what it feels like. Is that a bit high? Can we go with 18? Maybe it feels like it might even be less than that. 17 centimeters. That 17.5? No, I'd go with 17, I think. We can always adjust it later on. If we don't like it. Or rather, if I don't like it. And I'm not sure this is going to show up terribly well. As I said, when I do this sketching, you know, as a drawing, a reference drawing for watercolor, that might not show up terribly well. I guess you can see at least that line. It might show up well enough. So we should draw that. I'll sketch a little bit, freehand. And then we'll sort of straighten things out using the ruler. Train tracks going so, like so, and then actually covered a bit by that building here in the front. Train, platform. See, this is good. Holding loosely onto the pencil, or having a quite hard pencil to this, not really leaving much of a trace here, but I can see it in well enough. You got it to display an image in the J button. This has taken me 2 days. Congratulations. You say in the J button, maybe you mean it's like a button in your program. Are you working on that application for school? So have you started building the application without having a client? Or do you have a client already? What kind of application is it? Jumping dinosaurs. Switch it up, one of these images. At least this one could be switched up, yeah? Oops, no. Oh, wow. Oh dear. I think I did show those. Well, all of those are movies. Okay, I'm just trying to find a nice picture to substitute that one on the lower right corner. It'll be there, right? For you. Do I have anything interesting to show? Come on. I want to spend all day doing this. Seriously. This might be a boring picture, but I'm going for it. There you are. For the moment. JButton is a class. Flowcharts. Sounds quite advanced. To me. We should definitely switch out this film segment as well. Let's do Japan. Japan. Here we go. And this is one I haven't shown. Why is it larger than the other one? How odd. Then convert to pseudocode. Wow. Seems like you're learning a lot of stuff though. I'm not even entirely sure what pseudocode. Pseudocode sounds like something you'd write on a paper to explain your program. Like a, yeah, basically like a flowchart. Actually. But I might be wrong about that. What is this? What is pseudocode? Not sure I've read about it. Should be even a bit taller. No? I have to find one of those erasers too. Where did I put those? And then I guess sort of anonymous building here and something. Then we have our office building back here. I want it to be a bit more sort of on the long side there. Maybe something there. Mountains. Not too big though. So. I need to find my eraser. Give me a second. Code without rules. So I'm going to guess again and say it's code that says what it does, but not how it does it. So more like a sketch of a program. This function will convert or will multiply said number by this, or the said value by this value, and put the answer in an array, something like that, but not detailed instructions, I'm guessing. Okay, so if I think Leif is not here anymore, but as far as I know, it's the kind of arrays I was talking about. If anyone's interested, you can shape this, and so I usually make it into a ball. Sometimes you can also use it if you want to erase something really tiny. You can shape it into a tiny wedge like that. That's very useful. But it's usually the shape I give it, and then you can sort of, you can press really hard as long as you roll instead of, rub. You're basically safe from pushing any of the lines into the paper. And I can rub a little bit here because this is, I've been drawing very lightly. I'm not sure you can see very much here, but sorry for that, but I won't be doing too much of that at the moment. Let's sort of solidify some of these lines here. I mean, they're already quite good. I get kind of proud when I see myself draw something that, especially that requires rulers or something like that. And it's sort of quite well aligned, really. I'm not sure that I really do need rulers for this, but might as well. That's very nice and straight already. But let's not be taking too many chances. Just for the sake of neatness. And of course it's good to make sure that things that are supposed to be parallel actually are parallel. It's very good to use rulers, at least for some of your perspective. It's heading out of the picture, is it? I think so. Almost. Let's see here. It's detailed, but syntax is flowy. Flows around. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm sorry. You don't have to adhere to the syntax rules, I guess. Is that what you mean? If I... No, I don't like that. Let's have it a bit wider, please. Especially for such annoying things as railway tracks is probably going to be very good. Using a ruler would be very useful. Let's do that. That's the absolutely most boring part of this. Supposed to be readable to people who learn different programming languages. Yeah, I see. It gives me a better idea of what it's supposed to be like, or what it looks like, I think. Thank you for taking the time to explain in more detail. I'll just redraw that a bit, slightly. it's just as well to get these things down well at the very beginning. I've too often have I just have the train all the way up here, I think. Too often have I been caught in a situation where I've gotten quite far in a painting and need to change a lot just because I made some error in some slight error in perspective. But especially if you draw quite rigidly, like I do most of the time, the tiny errors, not the tiniest, they don't show up, but if you make a mistake, it'll be easily traceable, or it will be very visible. Yeah, I understood the idea. So I guess you use more sort of common language or real language terms than definite or distinct programming terms. So now we have these. So we try to just establish. This is something I don't really like. I mean, it get to draw. I have to draw very repeated shapes here in the railway tracks. I'll try not to get too detailed regarding them, but of course you have to do some detail in order for this to look like a railway. First of all, the two tracks. We already have the direction and the width of the tracks down there. It's straight. So, and as long as we adhere to, we establish the tracks as also being parallel and the sleepers. I believe they call that in English as well. Just having a sort of uniform thickness and distance from each other. This should look decent. I'll make some initial lines here. Doing this freehand, it actually feels easier. You could do more detailed measurements here, but again, trying not to make it too detailed. And keeping just a bit of distance between myself and the drawing and the loose hand might actually be a good solution here. I really have to focus a bit. Let's do little X's to mark the actual sleepers, because I'm just making marks here that don't mean anything otherwise. I think I should also stop there. From this point on, I should just suggest them. Again, try to keep the level of detail quite low. you can get very far by drawing a few detailed things, like in the foreground. If you especially if you have something that's, let's say you have a row of trees, you draw the first tree quite detailed, the leaves quite detailed. Actually, in a tree, you might just draw some of the leaves that are closest in rather detailed, and then the further back you get, the more you just suggest those shapes. But I often speak about programming the viewer, the watcher. So once they've learned what, that's the kind of leaf this is, and then the next layer further back into the background of the painting, it has a less detailed version of that leaf, but it's recognizable as the same thing because of its outline and perhaps some detail. And then if you see something in the far away but has the same general outline with no detail, just a silhouette, you still identify that as that kind of leaf, or same person in the same kind of clothing or whatever, same kind of car. Doesn't matter. You've conditioned the viewer to see a specific thing there, especially with things that are completely repeating, like railway tracks. So there could just be a grey mess over here towards the further end. That doesn't matter. I've told you that this is what it looks like up close, so you will see that over here, or you will fill it in yourself. That's a nice thing. Oh, it's no problem, Gabs. I hope this is entertaining enough. So I think I have enough for the railway there at least, and we should do some sort of support here. So structure just show the railway is supported by something. Standing on something, iron, or it's very likely concrete, right? So find like a T-shaped concrete support there. Maybe another one on this side, just suggested. So, all right, this roof here was going to stick up a bit, so that it's above the height of the railway tracks. Also, I have to remember not to draw too clearly here, because of course we're going to fill in some dinosaurs leaping across here. So I have to be ready to put dinosaurs here. I can't just start filling in detail. The roof, of course, needs some detail. And I mean, do we have a ventilation unit? No, not there, perhaps over here, rather. Pipe coming out there of the roof. Some debris. Something else here. Just, I don't know what, a little bit of some boxy thing. Maybe it's just an axis. What would you call that? The lid, or a covering to an access opening to the roof. I guess you access by some sort of ladder from the upper floor. Just putting a little bit of stuff on the roof, so it's not too boring. And again, when I draw some other indistinct shapes over here on these roofs, then you might more easily interpret them as being meaningful things. And we wanted a train platform over here, which is on top of a building. It might indicate some sort of convenience store. That was why was talking about. Most of the local train stations, most train stations around here. Is it really most? A lot of the train stations around here have convenience stores. Either in direct connection with the platform, or right, very close by. It's basically on the roof there. It needs to stick out a bit more now, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Again, if anyone's interested, I'm going to play like a I'm probably going to play Ghost of a Tale. Not too long, as soon as I've filled in some more detail. See, I feel like what I need to do more than anything else is fill in some dinosaurs, actually. And let's try to draw them in a stance that shows them off so they're easy to understand. Let's make that roof a little bit wider so it can comfortably house a large theropod dinosaur, such as a tyrannosaur. And it'll be yay high, I guess. Actually, it's come from over there somewhere, sort of from here, stepped up onto the roof. I'm sorry you guys can't see this very well. It will be more visible when I start painting it in watercolors, but I might not do that today. This is more preparation. I won't do too many details now because I'm not sure I've probably drawn the odd dinosaur, but it's not something I do often. It's not my style, so I will not very likely going to have to look at some reference pictures at some point to not entirely mess this up, This is looking decent. Is he a bit? Maybe that head's a bit big. Let's see now. Knee. Like so. I'm thinking of all the dinosaur films I've seen, all the Jurassic Parks. There's so much media about dinosaurs. It's not really. Seemingly, I have a grasp of what they look like. Yes, indeed. Cute mouse. You shall see. I think you'll like it. I've gotten quite far in the game now. I have lots of cute uniforms, and I found some interesting characters now. Were you there when I found the apothecarist? How would you pronounce it? Apothecarist? Apothecarist? Anyway, he and the garrison commander. They're basically working for the commander now, in disguise as a guard. We're solving some problems for him. Okay, that's enough of a dinosaur outline. I'll zoom for you a bit so that you can see what I'm working on. There's a Tyrannosaur. I think the head's a bit big. It's supposed to be closer to us, but that's too big. Let's just make it a bit smaller already. Just a tad, Again, I'm going to look up some references before I finish this. For certain, I feel like I need it. That looks a bit better, I think. Yep, and the tail going off there. Then these tiny things, sort of raptor-like. Let's draw one over here as a reference, like for size. They also have, they're very similar to this guy. They just have sort of narrower snouts, I guess. Narrower snouts and proportionately sturdier arms. wasn't so hard. Now was it? This one's just jumped, obviously, so maybe it's in a sort of landing. But it's so nice to have seen Jurassic Park and all the and all of its sequels. you have this feeling for how dinosaurs move. At least the way dinosaurs move in popular opinion, because we've all been conditioned by Jurassic Park for how dinosaurs move. The proper way the dinosaurs move. That's Jurassic Park, all more or less completely. At least for my generation onwards, I guess. So spine down. So the man with unsayable name. The man of unsayable name. You seem pumped for that, so I'll try to get to that soon. Let's just draw in a few more of these cute little jumpy dinosaurs. One mid-leap here, I think. One, two, three. How many do we want? We want some close here to sort of indicate that they're running from it. One, two, just indicate it for now. One with sort of just ready to jump here. Basically snout out across the a bit higher up, I think. Don't roll away. So foot there, thigh, feet, hips, tail. Head, forelimbs out across the void, over the void. Inside life here. 6. Let's try to draw the attitude of someone jumping onto the tracks here. Just taking the leap. So 1 foot there. Thigh. Bent, because you should see the underside. Yep, that looks good. I like that actually. One. Sorry, stretching. Like some slight stiffness came over me there, over my shoulder. Oh, we probably need power lines over the tracks, right? That's something I often forget to add. Anyway, we can think of that later. As in, perhaps not even today. If one of these is going to be on the tracks. Down here, one's going to be clambering up here. This building is slightly taller than the tracks, so we're going to have it about there. sort of, in that attitude that cats often have when they try to clamber up onto something. Hips basically, below, upper body just below the lip of whatever, and upper body up across, craning the neck and head forward to get as much of the mass as possible up here. And, one foot, clawed foot hooked onto the edge there, probably scrambling with their little with their hand-like claws, scratching, clawing. Oh, good. Gabsy. I'm not really rushing. I'm doing this at a comfortable speed, actually. It's going. Don't you love when you're doing something and it's going surprisingly fast and well at the same time? That's what I'm experiencing right now. I'm having a blast. Then here's the sort of should it be looking like a ways like that or towards us? Maybe towards us is fine. Let's do hips. Yeah, get it up a bit here. It's close. It's closer than that, so you don't have to draw more. Legs. So get the face up here, or head rather. Yeah. It's really coming up close, so he can get a good look at a nice dinosaur there. Ooh, I like this. This is good composition. Isn't it nice? Yeah, I do that a lot too. So we have a train coming in. I mean, you can, of course, have the composition right over there. It's basically the same. I'm very happy with the general outline of this fellow. This looks very Tyrannosauric to me. I'm just going to study the details a bit before I put them in. Not going to be lots of them, but just so I put the eyes and the nostrils and the mouth in the right place. Then you have these little scampering rascals here jumping across, and then I've just indicated. You can see a sort of some softish lines here. Here's the head, neck, main body, hips, I guess. His tail going off in that direction. I know it's very sketchy at the moment and it's difficult to see, but it's going well. It's going well. I'll do perhaps a bit more. We can put some people in here. It's just the right size. There's going to be a roof there, of course. At least covering some of the platform. How tall? And the train is a good size, actually. Looks very much like a speedy kind of modern train. But actually, in Copenhagen, they bulge like this to the sides to make room for more passengers. It's so interesting. They've been complaining lately about. Or I've seen complaints that the trains in Copenhagen are packed. They just go, "Oh, you haven't been to Tokyo, have you?" They are not packed, but they are. I mean, they're nice. There's lots of seats on the trains in the Copenhagen trains, the Danish trains. Lots of seats. Very few straps and stuff to hang on to if you're standing. So if they just put in more of those, it would be more viable to stand. Because if you stand between the seats, in the aisle, I'm talking about the local trains in Copenhagen now, there's nothing to hang on to. Basically, there are little handles on the supports, on the backs of the seats that stick out a bit, so you can hold on to them. But if you're standing, those are like hip to thigh height for you, at least for me. It should be straps so you can stand. Japanese trains, you have the seats along the side. You know, you sit facing each other basically, and most of the space is dedicated to standing. That is, you know, Japanese local trains in the large metropolises. Other trains have more seats, you know, going further, but and there's lots and lots of straps and things to hang on to, so it's expected that more people will be standing, at least in rush hour, than sitting. I think they could maybe, if so many people are using the trains, they should maybe redesign the interior. I think they would gain by that, make standing a more viable option. Suddenly you got my opinion on Danish trains. Having not asked for it at all. Hope you didn't mind. Just my reflection. Anyway, one thing they've done that is nice is that they're very bulging, sort of roundish. I must have a picture somewhere that I could draw up. I photograph them every now and then. The thing is just to find. I take so many photographs. Yeah, sure, that's a picture from inside a train, but. Oy, oy, oy. Oh, those are winter pictures from actually from earlier this year, beginning of this year. I went skiing, but that's hardly relevant now, is it? They're very nice looking local trains in Copenhagen. I think very sort of they're round shapes, sort of cute, really, and very friendly looking. Oh, here's one. Oh, here are several pictures. I wonder if you can see it because they're sort of from a bit of a distance, but let's try. So, don't know if you can sort of tell that it's bulging. It's easy to see when it's from the front, obviously. They're all red like that. At least. I think they've always been red, or most of the generations. They've existed. I think the first one started running in the 20s or 30s. Which is, you know, soon like a decade ago. Sorry, not a decade, century is what I wanted to say. What I meant to say, rather. And if you're new to my channel, I think with the video going on here, is it over there? I think it's over there. My channel is a little bit about well, towns and cities, urban design, that sort of stuff, from an amateur and enthusiast's point of view. Not even, I wouldn't say amateur, just enthusiast. I enjoy cities in general. Hence the videos I'm showing on the side. Hence lots of these pictures being of just urban spaces. Doesn't seem like I find anything better from an earlier year. Is that going a bit far? What is that? Oh, right. Who's that? It's surely not me. I seem to have a picture of another person that I can't recognize. Where is this? It's so snowy. This is Copenhagen. It's my hometown, actually. Sorry, looking through old photographs, trying to find pictures of trains. This is the last folder I'm looking through, I promise. I won't be wasting more time with this. Right now, anyway. Alright, this is actually from Switzerland. Most of these pictures. It's a nice sculpture of a dragon, which maybe I should possibly show. Yeah, let's bring that up. Kind of a dragon sculpture from like Zurich somewhere. Anyway, back to drawing. This fellow I found in Zurich like 2 years ago. Where were we? Alright, train design. That's where my train of thought started. The polls in the UK. Are you having elections? I was not aware. I'm not following news much. I never do. Well, sometimes in short bursts I follow the news. I'm not even... I should catch up on UK elections. Or UK political system, really. Which elections are these? Are they sort of... elections of the Parliament? Every Brit you know is panicking. Okay. What's at stake? If you wouldn't, I could just look up the Guardian and get the scope, I guess. I'm actually a subscriber to the Guardian. It's the only newspaper I'm subscribed to. Online subscription, mind you. It's just that I don't read it very often. I shouldn't spend time on that now. Not while streaming. You don't have to tell me is what I'm saying, but if you don't mind, go ahead. Tell me what's going on. Like power lines for the train. Let's use a ruler for that. Something like that. That would be almost parallel here with the slightly less than parallel with the horizon. So perhaps. Let's see here. I did, during the last American election, I did read up on the US political system, and I finally got a grasp of how that works. Boy, is it silly. Should look up how it works in Britain as well, I feel. I actually pondered becoming a Danish citizen lately because, I've been living here for 12 years and don't really see myself moving back to Sweden, so it might be pertinent to be able to vote for Danish parliament. I can only partake in local elections, city councils and the like, as it is. But it's difficult to let go of your voting rights in your home country. It might take a long while for me to decide on this, like read a decade or two more, but who knows. Mostly Brexit and stuff to do with NHS and immigration. What's NHS? National Health something, I think, right? I've read stuff about this. NHS is National Health. What on earth is the S for? UK election is kind of annoying because of all the advertisements, which are all unskippable. What advertisements? I mean, on what media? It must be dependent on the media, right? Why I'm subscribed to the Guardian is basically whenever I was looking for news online, I very often ended up at the Guardian's website, and you can actually read it for free. They allow you to read it for free, which I think is very sporting of them. And I like the way they report. They remind me of the newspaper. Their method of reporting reminds me of the newspapers I used to read growing up in Sweden. The way they express themselves and so it feels comfortable. and so I can get some good level of international news. Hence, I'm subscribed to them. National Health Service, thank you. Every media. Conservatives denied 16-year-olds vote. Okay. Have you been campaigning for that in the UK? Hello, Dave. Welcome to the stream. I am right now. I'm. Let me show you. Drawing. So this is going to become a watercolor painting. Although we're not doing the painting today, we're doing the underlying sketch today. It's a Christmas gift for my nephew. That's the final sketch of the composition. It's a train on a raised railway and some dinosaurs running across rooftops, because his two favorite things in the world are dinosaurs and trains. He's 3.5 years old. So that's the situation at the moment. I'm very soon done with this bit, actually. So in a little while I'm going to switch over to my Twitch channel, where I do gameplay, and we're going to play Ghost of a Tale, a super cute action adventure, or action stealth adventure, where you play as a little forest mouse in a world of tiny creatures. As is so common when people don't often announce themselves in chat, I'm not sure if you've been here before, if we've chatted. You seem to be somewhat familiar, so curious if you've been here before. What have we here? Yeah, we've made dinosaurs. I'll just indicate a few more things in the background there, like I wanted the water tower structure or something similar, and I wanted maybe another office block there, indication of some mountains, wooded and snow-covered. Maybe I might actually step away from the snow-covered thing a bit. We might actually do some sort of nice dynamic sky, meaning cloudy. You're new, so very nice to make your acquaintance then. So this is, I used to just stream on YouTube. This is a kind of art and video games channel. I paint, I make art on the computer sometimes, oil paintings and watercolor, like here. This is an oil painting I've been working on for a long time, although I've sort of interspersed it with other smaller paintings. I also show off parts of towns that I like, so there are pictures here from, well, that's Switzerland, that's a video here is Tokyo, and that robot up there is also from Tokyo. I like to going to Tokyo. I live in Copenhagen, so there'll be lots of videos and pictures from Copenhagen. I code video games. I'm just learning a new programming language, so I'm making very simple games here. I've been coding for a couple of years, so you'll get lots of updates on my coding. I'll bring up a picture of one of the games I've made. And recently I've started streaming on Twitch, and at the moment my intention is to keep the gaming stuff on Twitch and the art stuff here on YouTube. At least presently. I might actually switch entirely to Twitch eventually, because it seems to be more streamer friendly. I'm glad to hear it, Dave. Then you'll get, I think you'll get all you are asking for here. If you like the kind of games I play, of course. I play a varied selection. Let's see here. Just have to find my pictures. Here we go. Oh, where on earth did I put my game pictures, game graphs? That's old. I haven't even saved those. Twitch streams, walking, YouTube streams. Nope. I might just bring up one of the games, I guess. That's odd. Why can't I find these? Never mind at the moment. You know what? I'll just show off one of my games over on Twitch. I think we'll switch to Twitch, if you don't mind. Because we're basically done here with the drawing bit. So, let me give you the link to my Twitch page. Let's see. My Twitch channel, rather. That is my Twitch channel, and I will be there shortly. Discuss video games and such. And if you like, you can introduce yourself, or you can just hang back and enjoy. I'll see you on Twitch in just a little while then. Bye for now.